Hello and welcome to another episode of the Liverpool Connection podcast. I'm Daz. I've got Steve finally back with me today. Our special guest today first seems to get the Manx riled up on Twitter because I've seen some of the posts. It's ex-Liverpool and Republic of Ireland international Jason McAteer. Hiya, Jason.
How are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I am going to get straight into this. First off, I want to ask you, how proud are you of Marine getting to the third round? Because you started off at Marine, right?
I did, yeah. When I was about 17, 18, yeah. I was working in a pub. I was playing Sunday League football locally on the Wirral, just up from Tranmere Rovers' ground I lived. And I was playing just on a Sunday, enjoying myself, but doing well, making a bit of a name for myself locally. And then the centre forward of Marine, Paul Meechan, walked in to the pub for a pint with his mates. Casually walked in, noticed I was behind the bar. We got talking about football, and he just invited me over for a trial. Where I took him up on the offer. He drove me over and over to Crosby, and then I had a tryout for the reserves. And I was pretty lightweight, sort of 17, 18, a bit of a late developer. So I was really skinny. I was playing on the wing. I was probably 6 stone wet through. So, the semi-professional league, the HFS Loans League, as it were back then, which Marine's first team were playing in, it was very physical. It was a man's league. It was a proper man's game. When tackles were allowed and you were allowed to touch the opponents, that was still very much the fashion back then. But obviously the manager didn't think it was for me, first team football. So I ended up playing for the reserves. Yeah, I played for the reserves for 3 years. I had a great time, loved it, learnt a lot. And obviously it was as you said, it was my start. Although it was semi-professional, it was my start and my warm-up to making it into the professional game. So yeah, very proud of them, very, very proud of them. Youngie's doing a great manager, Neil Young. He's doing a great job there. I know him. In fact, I used to play with him when I was playing Sunday League football. I used to play against him, so it's great to see him doing well. And they've made a lot of money from the game. And in these current times, it's become a bit of a blessing that they've made that much money because it'll keep them going for a few more years.
I know you're a Liverpool boyhood fan. So yeah. My second question is who was your number one poster on your bedroom wall? Who was the player that you had?
It was Kenny.
Yeah,
it was Kenny Dalglish. Yeah, where I was from, when I was just up the road from Tranmere, it was camel heads. My dad was in and out of work. It was a tough time, Thatcher's England, and living up north, it was very tough to find work. My mum was, trying to keep 4 or 5 jobs on the go, different things. So obviously, to buy a footy kit or to get a ticket for Liverpool was just not going to happen. And I was lucky enough to be invited to a game. My uncle actually took me to a game. I think it might have been my birthday or something, and he took me to this one game, Liverpool Manchester City, sat in the main stand. And as it is, you go to the game for the first time, the noise, the smell, the colour, walking up the steps and then into the stadium and seeing, the pitch and the noise. And then obviously the game starts, and Kenny, he was just like a god, wasn't he? They just, he's a good looking fella. He was, that kit, everything about him was just, it was just Hollywood, wasn't it? So he instantly become my hero, and from then on, I was Kenny Dalglish scoring the winner in the FA Cup final in the park. So, yeah, definitely Kenny.
Yeah. Did you have the whole pillowcase and bed sheets?
Yeah.
It
was, Christmas come around. It was very much so. Bedspread, pillowcase. Couldn't afford the kit, so my mum made me a football kit. She was pretty nifty on the what was it called? The sewing machine. She was pretty nifty. So she made me a kit out of old curtain material, red curtain material. It was itchy as, and when it got wet, it was really heavy. So she sewed this massive big badge on, Liverpool badge, big round badge. She sewed it on. It was like the kit from the 50s, big badge. But yeah, so that was my first Liverpool kit. And then as I got older, your main present is you want the Liverpool kit. I had the silver one, crown paints on it. I had that one. But yeah, it was very much a Liverpool fan. Did what most young Liverpool fans did, was sleep under a Liverpool duvet. Yeah.
Steve.
Hey, Jason. Good morning. Thanks for coming on.
How are you, Steve?
I'm doing great, man. I've been fortunate to talk to you when you guys were in Boston, and I've actually been able to play a couple supporters matches against you back at Kirby.
Okay.
So yeah, so when we started this process, we told Darren that, hey, we got to get Jason on here. So thanks for coming on.
No problem. Pleasure, mate.
Yeah, my question for you, obviously we just went through this whole thing with Kenny as your hero and growing up, but when you had an opportunity to sign for Kenny, tell us that decision, because here's your hero, wants you to play for him, but then Liverpool comes calling and wants you to play for your hometown club. Can you kind of tell everybody what went through your mind having to make that decision?
Well, first of all, I mean, me and Alan Stubbs at Bolton, we were two young kids, and Alan Thompson as well. We were making a few headlines because Bolton was this team had been put together by Bruce Rioch. Had a couple of promotions, but also some really good cup runs. We'd knocked out Liverpool in the cup, if you remember. Knocked out Everton, Aston Villa, Arsenal. And I think the three of us had showed, when we come up against the bigger opposition, the bigger teams, we could hold our own. And then all of a sudden, the scouts started coming to watch. And Blackburn was never really on the. It was never really on the cards. It was Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, United were down watching. But really, when the call come from our agent that Blackburn had triggered the release clause from Bolton, we were actually kind of shocked. So we were on the way into training. We get the call. We turn the car around, go back up the East Lancs Road, and we go and meet Kenny in a hotel, and Ray Harford. And we walked in, and obviously for me, Alan Stubbs was an Everton fan. He bid £9 million, Blackburn, for the pair of us. So we went up, and obviously for me, just walking into the room with Kenny, it was just like, but, deep down, as much as it was Kenny, it was still Blackburn. And, my heart was, I wanted to play for Liverpool. I'd got to know Steve McManaman and Robbie and Jamie from international football, from going out in Liverpool and just bumping into them. I'd played in the World Cup in '94, so they got to know me pretty quickly from meeting up in town. So I knew there was a bit of interest from there. So I was slightly disappointed that Liverpool hadn't come in. But then halfway through the meeting, I was a little bit starstruck going into the room, but I was trying to stay professional. Halfway through the meeting, my agent's phone went, and he takes the call. He comes back into the room and he says to Kenny, "Listen, Liverpool have bid £4.5 million for Jason. Can we have the opportunity to go and talk to Roy Evans and Liverpool?" And I remember Kenny he knew that as soon as I'd left that room and not agreed with him and gone to Anfield, that I was going to sign for Liverpool, and he'd lost his man. And that was the case. I rang Kenny out of courtesy after meeting Liverpool and agreeing to sign for him, just to say, "Listen, thanks for the opportunity to speak to you, but I'm going to sign for Liverpool." And he it's fair to say he didn't take it well. He gave me a bit of stick on the phone. It reminded me about Hague Avenue. He said something like, "Enjoy playing at Hague Avenue." So I put the phone down. I said to my agent, "Who plays at Hague Avenue?" And he went, "Southport and Liverpool reserves." So I was thinking, brilliant. He obviously thinks I'm not going to play in the first team. So yeah, I mean, that was a bit disappointed, but we've kissed and made up now, and we're pretty good friends. Yeah, so it's all good now. It's all good.
Well, that's great. I wanted to thank you for giving me another reason to go to the pub. I could tell my missus, "Hey, Jason got discovered while, drinking a couple pints." So I'm waiting for that over 50 professional league call. So thanks.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath, mate. Don't hold your breath.
Yeah. Right. Hey, I wanted to, when you signed with Liverpool, you're on the same squad with the John Barnes and Jan Mulby, Ian Rush, Robbie Fowler. Kind of, you're walking into a pretty damn good team, you know. So kind of tell us how that first few days were, and you know, just meeting all the lads and saying, "Oh man, I'm a Liverpool player now."
Yeah, it was, you know, it was difficult for us. You know, for as much as we gained promotion to the Premier League with Bolton, you know, it was still at you know, Bolton still wasn't classed as you know, one of the, you know, the major forces in English football, and you know, we'd worked hard to get to where we were. So, you know, to walk into a dressing room, which I was a fan of a lot of the players, as you just mentioned the names there, Rush, Barnes, you know, were there, Jan was still there. You know, to walk into that dressing room, you know, was pretty daunting. I think one thing that did help me was when I signed, Liverpool were playing in Russia against Vladikavkaz in one of the European competitions, and you know, they were away for 2 days. I signed, so I trained with the reserves for 2 days. So I kind of had 2 days of like being at the training ground, got to know people, got, you know, a bit comfortable with my surroundings. I kind of, you know, I knew how things worked, you know, from having 2 days there. So when I went in, you know, that third day, and the lads wandered in, you know, it was also a young squad. You know, Roy had put together a young team. You know, you think that, you know, David James, Steve McManaman, Robbie Fowler, Jamie, Phil Babb, you know, very, very young players of my age. That really helped me. But, you know, once you walk into that dressing room, they all start walking in, you know, they instantly make you like part of the family. It's, you know, they make you feel comfortable. You know, for me, you still want to prove yourself. You still want to prove that, you know, they've signed you. You are good enough. You are able to hold your own in this dressing room. You know, which was something I had to, you know, I had to figure out, and I had to do very, very quickly. But as far as being intimidated from the players, not at all. You know, you instantly become one of them. You're playing for the team. You know, they help you, they talk to you, and you know, Roy Evans, Ronnie Moran, Doug Livermore are there. They know how it works. They're there to help you as well. Steve Highway was a great help for me. So you instantly feel very comfortable in your surroundings, as daunting as the prospect of playing for Liverpool is.
You know, over your career for Liverpool, can you kind of share some of your best moments, you know, whether it be on the pitch or, you know, traveling with the team?
Yeah. You know, the cup final, for as disappointing as the result was, you know, it was fulfilling a dream, you know, to play at Old Wembley for Liverpool, to run out in a Liverpool kit and play in the FA Cup final was, you know, not a lot of people have done that. Even Liverpool players haven't, you know, some haven't done that, had that opportunity to do that. So, you know, I'm obviously blessed to have done that, although I'd like to have changed, obviously, the scoreline and the result that day. That goes without saying. But, you know, to actually have that experience was phenomenal. The 2 4-3s Newcastle games, which were, you know, one of them goes down as, you know, one of the greatest Premier League games ever. To play in that and feature so, you know, in a result 4-3 and to play so well, you know, it was obviously pleasing for me. But just to play for the football club you supported as a kid, you know, and for me, the biggest football club in the world, you know, to reach that level, you know, is I obviously did something right. For as much as all the Man United fans are giving me stick at the minute, you know, I've gone and done something that not a lot of people have done. So yeah, I had 4 great years there. You know, there was obviously some lows, breaking my leg, losing the cup final, changing manager. You know, Gerard Houllier coming in was a very difficult time, and leaving the football club was obviously, you know, it was a tough thing to do. It was a tough ask, but you know, it was something that I had to do from a professional point of view. My heart wanted to stay, but my head was saying, you need to move on and play football. I don't want to just sit on the bench. And that was difficult. But overall, you know, what's not to like about playing for Liverpool?
That's right. I think we're all hiding from our Manchester United fans right now, or friends right now. So my last question is, I know you stated that you made peace with Kenny, you know, for not signing with him. Have you ever made peace with Graham Souness after you played for him?
Funny enough, I have. Yeah, I have. That was a tougher job. Yeah. Work brought us together, and we had to spend a lot of time with each other. We were doing a big competition. It was either World Cup or the Euros. We ended up spending a lot of time together. And Graham, as much as, you know, Graham doesn't, I don't think, apologises. It was a backhand apology for the way that he treated me at Blackburn. You know, I think he's actually said to me if he could go back in time, he would change the way he managed some people, and I was definitely one of them. So I took that as a compliment, and I took it as an apology. So I get on with Graham now as well. He's great company. He's mellowed. He's in a different position than what he was. You know, football can bring the worst out in people, and I think Graham knows that. And you know, it's great to be in his company now. I enjoy it, and we get on. Yeah, but it was a difficult time at the time. You know, playing for him at Blackburn. He was a ruthless manager. You know, me and him, our personalities clashed. But like I said, as we've got older, we put it to bed. So yeah, fair play. Yeah.
Speaking of clashes of personality, I guess you and Roy Keane had some battles as well. So we mend any fences there?
No, still not getting a Christmas card off Roy, which, you know, obviously hurts me so bad. No, in all honesty, you know, you play your career out, and you know, you work, you go into different environments, whether it's TV, media, punditry, or coaching, or whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, when you're a footballer, you know, you play to win. It's the elite. It's the top of the top, and you do anything you can to win. You know, you do anything you can to gain an advantage over opponents. It's part of the game. It's not just a physical game; it's a mental game, and you do what you have to do. And you know, me and Roy clashed. You know, at the end of the day, we both wanted to win. We're both winners. You know, it was disappointing that the fact that we were very close teammates with Ireland, striving to get to World Cups and Euros, which we achieved. You know, we went through some sad times and really, really good times together, and it's just a shame we haven't been able to put that behind us. You know, I like Roy. I think he was an amazing footballer. I do like his personality, but you know, for some reason, you know, he feels that he doesn't want to make up and he doesn't want to patch things up, and you know, I've got to accept that, appreciate his decision, his thought process, and you know, that's how he wants to be. That's how he wants to be. Yeah. So,
you know, when you ended your career at Tranmere, that you could like come full circle, right? Started at Marine and then ended up at Tranmere at the end. So you felt like you're coming back home and finishing what you started there.
Yeah, I mean, I lived on my home's the Wirral. That's where I was born. You know, I grew up. You know, Tranmere. I only lived up the road, as I mentioned before. On Friday night football, you know, they used to open the gates with 20 minutes to go, Tranmere, to let fans in. But for us young kids, it was an opportunity to get in for the last 20 minutes. So as people were coming out, we were going in. So I did actually watch a lot of Tranmere's games, albeit the last 20 minutes of the match. So so I had a little soft spot for Tranmere. My uncle, he invested in the football club in sort of the late 80s. So my family had a relationship with the club. But yeah, I was released from Sunderland, and I had talks with Leicester. I went down, had talks with Leicester. I agreed a contract with Leicester. I ended up failing a medical, which a lot of people don't know. And I was driving home a little bit disillusioned with everything, a little bit upset. And Brian Little was the manager at Tranmere. And I said to my agent, I said, listen, I know I've probably got another 2 or 3 seasons, you know, Championship, you know, maybe low-end Premier League. But I don't know if I can be bothered. I don't know if I can be bothered living away from home. Again, because I've been up at Sunderland. My personal life, I've been through quite a lot in the previous 5 years. I was a little bit broken. And I just wanted to feel where I could, you know, it was on my terms. Everything was on my terms. And I rang Brian Little up. My agent spoke to him, and Brian rang me. I don't think Brian could quite believe that I actually wanted to come to Tranmere, because obviously he couldn't offer me a lot of money. But it wasn't about the money. It was about, as I said, you know, it was about enjoying myself, going back to home. It was about to enjoy my football. It was a project. I wanted to learn from an extremely experienced and good manager in Brian Little about maybe going into coaching and learning from him. And it was a good stepping stone for me. And I did. That's what I went there. It was a good young team. We almost got promotion. Unfortunately, Brian was sacked, but I learned so much from Brian. I owe him a lot. I really, really enjoyed my time at Tranmere. It's a fantastic football club, some great people, some good fans, and I really enjoyed it. Obviously, I went back there as an assistant manager with John Barnes, and it never quite worked out. Finances, never worked out for us. We were always up against it. Peter Johnson, who was he was the owner of the football club, has basically had enough when we went in as managing assistant, and we never really got backed from him. And I totally understand why. We never fell out with Peter at all for his decision. I totally get it and totally appreciate that. And it was just basically the wrong time for me and John to go in there, and it never worked. And unfortunately, we had to part company pretty early. And I was sad with that because it's a fantastic football club.
Speaking of John Barnes, I'm the president of the supporters club here in Austin, and we were able to bring him here to town a year and a half ago. We brought Alan Kennedy, Bruce Grobbelaar, Ronnie Whelan has been here to town to have a session with us. I know you travel around now with being an ambassador to the club, and I just wanted to kind of talk about your experiences doing that, going to meet other supporters clubs around the world, and just being able to hang out with your mates and be part of boss nights and things like that.
When you were teeing that question up, there was a part when you went, I just want to ask you, and I thought you were going to say, do you want to come over and have a bit of a break over here when everything works out?
Well, yeah, of course.
Or a session. or a session.
Or a session.
A session, yeah.
A session, yeah.
Yeah, we treat our guests really well here.
I believe so, yeah.
Just ask Ronnie.
I've asked him, don't worry, yeah. He would come back. All the lads would come back. That's why I'm a little bit gutted you haven't invited me yet.
You're on the list.
Cheers, mate. To answer your question, it's a dream come true to be involved with the football club as I am. Football has moved on from when I played at the club. Partnerships, commercial is very much a thing to do with the modern day football club now. It wasn't quite like that when I played. Liverpool probably did have a number of years of playing catch up to Manchester United. It's an avenue of revenue. It's an avenue of connecting with the fans. And we have such a massive supporters association, from all over the world. It's not just America, from Australia right across. So, we have to cater for that, and we have to, adhere to the demands of what the fans want, what partners want, and we have to fulfill obligations, and that's where I slot in really. Arguably there's players who've won more than me and bigger names at the football club than me, and obviously rightly so. The club wanted to go down that road. I'd fully appreciate that, but at the end of the day, I'm the kid who dreamed of playing for Liverpool and was given the opportunity, and I do have a story, and I like to meet people. I like to travel. I love working for the football club, and it's not just snoozing and going out for dinner. It's actually going to meet underprivileged children, going into schools, putting on coaching sessions, working with various disabled organisations, mental health groups. We do a lot of that behind the scenes. The football club caters for that, and it has an obligation to fulfil them needs, and they do it unbelievably well. And that's why I slot in and like to feel that I can play some part in helping in all different avenues and all different streams that the club use. So I thoroughly enjoy it. I love being part of it. It's been an amazing last 5 years. We've got a very healthy future of us, and hopefully when things sort itself out, pick up where we left off, and, get back into these countries and visit and give back a little bit of what we can.
Yeah, I know that Vladimir Smeetser travels around with you a lot to those things, and I know he enjoys it.
Yeah.
And just thinking back of a time when we all could get together, that last time that I met you is in Boston. When that weekend that the team was there, and then we had culminated in that House of Blues night, which was just an amazing atmosphere. So yeah, we really appreciate you and all the other ambassadors, taking time and coming over to the United States, because like we've mentioned before, there's many people that will never be able to go to Anfield and watch the team play. You know, I've been fortunate enough to obviously to be there, and Daz, I grew up there. So, but there's thousands of other people that will never get that opportunity. So just on behalf of everybody else, you know, we appreciate your time coming over and really breaking bread with us.
Oh, mate, that's absolute pleasure. And, you know, hopefully when this can sort itself out, you know, like I said, we'll pick up where we left off. You're right. It's been a very difficult time. And, you know, the football club know that. We know we've got fans everywhere. You know, we're still trying to do things now on Zoom and meet a lot of fans and, you know, do question and answers with various partners and avenues of the club that are using. And, you know, we know how much mental health is a big problem at the minute. We're trying to do our bit for that as well. So yeah, absolutely, mate. When things sort themselves out, I'll be back for another night in the House of Blues, I'm sure.
Talking about mental health, you know, as a footballer as well, you know, when you broke your leg, how did that affect you? Because back then, was there somebody you could like actually, you know, talk to that could help you? Because nowadays, you know, footballers are treated like gods, basically. You know, they have physios, they have, you know, psychologists. So back when you broke your leg, like, you know, did you think, oh man, you know, this is gonna really take time to get back to the team and everything?
Yeah. Well, I've never really had any substantial injury. You know, you say broken leg, and it's kind of like it kind of sounds quite damning, doesn't it? It kind of sounds like, will he ever play again? You know, but obviously technology and science and medicine's obviously moved on. Even, you know, into the mid-90s, it was, you know, we were well catered for, and, you know, the big injury was obviously the knees, the ankles, the Achilles and stuff. They were the big ones that had more concern. Obviously, it was a worry to me. You know, when I initially broke it, I had the bone snap. Didn't know to what extent, you know, the damage was. Obviously, there's different breaks, which obviously mean a longer time out. But I do remember Robbie coming over and saying to me, "You've only got cramp. I'll see it in the Conti," which was a nightclub later on. So I was kind of a bit like, "Oh well, we'll have to see. I'll see what the X-ray says here, if I'll be dancing tonight or not." Anyway, I was whisked off to Fazakerley Hospital, which I was in the waiting room, you know, with my kit on. It looked like I'd just come off like some playing field, playing with the lads. You know, put the full kit on, and then all of a sudden I was in Fazakerley, you know, getting an X-ray, and then I went straight in to see the specialist who cut my tie-ups. I'm quite a superstitious person, and I used to. Ian Rush threw a pair of boots away, and I took the laces out of them and used them as tie-ups, Rush's laces, as for good luck. And I remember the doctor cutting me tie-ups off my leg, off my socks. And I remember saying to him, "They're Rush's laces, don't cut them." He just went, "I cut them off." And then he cut the laces in my boot. And then he pulled my boots off, my broken leg, which killed me. And then I was in X-ray. And then 3 or 4 days later, I was in Barbados having a week's break before the rehabilitation started. So I was well looked after from that sense, but from a mental health point of view, no, there was no one around to ask me how I was feeling. But yeah, I mean, you know, you spend a lot of time with the physio, who becomes, you know, your counsellor, who becomes your physio, and you're with him for 3 months. I remember going back into full training and falling over. Going in for a tackle without thinking, and I remember getting up thinking, that felt all right. There was no pain, and then that was it. Then that was the switch, and then I was confident in it. It was strong enough. As much as the physio tells you you're back to normal, I think it always takes yourself, your own brain, your own mental talk, self-talk to obviously put things right. And once I got up from that tackle, I was all right. I was okay. I've had some worse injuries than that. I had drop foot, a blackburn, which my peroneal nerve was frozen in an accident, and I was out for 6 months with that. I was out for 6 months with my groins at Sunderland. That was a long time. That was touch and go. But yeah, I've had some pretty nasty injuries. Yeah.
But that first time, you know, when you came back,
Yeah.
Like you said, you didn't even have to think. You just went, 100% into a tackle. Because I know it seems like a lot of players now, you can tell when they come back from an injury, like Ox, you watch him and you see he doesn't like really go full on for the tackle. It kind of pulls out. But you just said, yeah, got a 100% or nothing.
Well, that's who I am. I've always been like that. It's the way I was brought up. It's 100% or nothing. My dad used to say to me, if you don't go into a tackle 100%, it'll be you that gets hurt. That was just on tackling and stuff. So, if you're going to win the ball, you come and win the ball. You don't pull out. So that was always my mindset.
Yeah, and I could second that. He doesn't even pull any punches in charity matches. He's going in.
Hey, if I'm winning the ball, I'm winning the ball.
That's right.
Who's standing in front of it? Yeah, I mean, you can understand why why there's a bit of trepidation with players. The Ox has had some pretty bad injuries, so that's always going to be at the back of your mind. Is he going to break down, or am I going to break down? Am I going to hurt myself again? Is it going to be a reoccurring injury? He spent 7 or 8 months, in rehab, in a gym. It's a tough old time, being away from the lads, being in the gym, doing double sessions, triple sessions, being in early, going out late, not having lunch with them. It's very, very difficult time being injured. It's a horrible time, mentally and physically. So you don't want to go back to that. So that always plays on your mind. But sometimes, it just depends on who you are and your makeup. Some players have to play 100% fit. I always felt Daniel Sturridge had to be 100% fit, otherwise he just wasn't ready. Other players, from my generation, I don't know any player that played 100% fit. There was always a niggle or something going on. So, yeah, it's just who you are, who your makeup is, how you are.
So, who talking of like going full blood into a tackle, who are some of the hardest players you've played with and against?
Ronnie Whelan was tough, nasty, as much as you wouldn't probably put him in that bracket. Could read the game very, very well, but cute. Steve McMahon, Jimmy Case, played against them. They were tough. They would just snap you in half and not even think about it. They were tough. Brian Robson, he was horrible. Tough. But then you get other players, who were tough to play against, which, because from a football perspective, was obviously Roberto Carlos, Paolo Maldini, Kaká, played against him, just top players who, were just streaks ahead. Robbie was arguably one of the best to play with. Macca, difficult to play against, brilliant to play with. Yeah, just for different reasons. Tough players, people say like, oh, Vinnie Jones, was he tough? Well, Vinnie was just a bully. There's nothing tough about Vinnie. Vinnie just, tried to get in your head, tried to bully you. But like I said before, that's the mental psychology side of the game. Mark Hughes was tough. Tough players, for me, a tough player is the ones that give it but also take it. Mm-hmm. They'll come back for more. It was always a battle. You could smash Steve McMahon, but you had to make sure that, you were up there and he was going to give you one. Roy was tough. Roy was a tough player, a bit of a bully, but he was tough. He wouldn't shake a challenge. But, I think he liked it when you stood up to him. I think it was part of the battle, wasn't it? It was part of like, come on, man, let's see who comes out on top. It was, it was all part of that. But that's the mental psychology side of the game. Some players would talk to you through the game, try and get an edge. Some players like Robbie Savage would never shut up. That was his way of, trying to get into your head.
He still doesn't.
Well, he still does it now, yeah. But where does that? But where does that work? Is like Robbie would say something to you, maybe about your girlfriend or the way you're playing or whatever it may be. But then, like, that would get in your head then, and then you'd be thinking, I want to smash him. Like, so that would then take away like my sort of my take on the game. Then it would take my focus would go away from trying to win the football match and just trying to smash Robbie Savage. So he's kind of done his job. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to try and blank it out and just think, well, I'll do them in the tunnel, which we did have some ding-dongs in tunnels, I'm telling you. And that's why a lot of stuff would go on behind the scenes, because, you know, you'd have to take away your focus from wanting to do it on the pitch to actually, you know, if it was that bad, you'd try and, you know, the amount of times I've said to people, I'll see you in the tunnel. Me and Andy Cole, I'll see you in the tunnel. Yeah, it never, sometimes you would bump into each other in the tunnel, it'd go off. Other times it'd be forgotten about by then. But it was just all interesting how different players try and get an edge over their opponents. It was, you know, a lot of things can't be repeated, what was said to you, but it was, yeah.
I was going to ask, what did Savage say about your girlfriend?
To be honest, it wasn't. It was him and Gavin McCann, and they were having murder on the pitch, and then he got Gav booked. Gav's head went, and he just tried to 2-foot him, and he ended up getting booked. And then we were walking off the pitch, and I caught Sav because Gav wanted to gang up on him in the tunnel. It's like kids, it's like school ground stuff, mate. And then as we're coming off, Sav was giving our fans a load of stick. So I said to Gav, just slow down, we'll get him in the tunnel. And then I said something to him in the tunnel, I can't repeat it. And then he said something back, and then I said something back. And then we squared up, and then obviously then fists have started flying. And then the police have jumped in, and the stewards have jumped in, and a piece of reeds jumped in. And then we were split up. And then it carried on in the players' lounge afterwards, and then everyone just had to go home. Everyone just went home. So it's just, yeah, but it's all, you know, Dennis Wise, he's another one. Like, just chipping away, and, you know, he called me a cheat once, Dennis Wise. Oh, my head come off. Yeah, it was just mad. You know, Kale's another one. Muscat. You know, they used to chip away at you all the time. But, you know, you look back and you think, like, it's all part of sport, isn't it? It's all part of the edge. The cricketers do it, don't they?
Well, I mean, Sunday League as well.
Yeah. Mate, that's where I learned. Yeah, that's where I learned. So, you know, like, I didn't sign pro until I was 20. You know, I was getting the ass kicked out of me, like, right up to I was 20, Sunday League and non-league football. You know, you've got to take an elbow off the ball, and but then you've still got to try and win a football match. You know, got to put it to bed. Sometimes it got the better of me, mate. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it got the better of me, but, you know, the majority of the time I try to hold it in, but it's tough.
Yeah, at least with Sunday League, you can have a pint at halftime.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So, Jason, I know you only scored like a few goals for Liverpool, but what's your favourite goal?
Well, funny enough, like, I think some goals like hold sentimental value, don't they? I think, like, having favourites, or, you know, I think it's the moments that they bring. You mentioned about being injured. My first game back after breaking my leg was West Ham at home, and I scored 2, Cop End. And if Karl-Heinz Riedler had squared it to me, they're greedy, I would have got a hat-trick. But he had the worst angle in the world, and he shot it at the side net. But he could have pulled it back to me, and I would have got my hat-trick. But 2 against West Ham, you know, they stick out. First goal, Cop End, Rochdale. I think it was the 6th and a 7-0 win, I think. And I celebrated like it was the winner in the cup final. That was sweet. Semi-final goal against Aston Villa, Old Trafford for Liverpool, FA Cup. That was nice, because obviously it helped us get in the final. But then if I have to go back and relive one moment in history of scoring, it would be against Holland, Lansdowne Road, which has obviously knocked Holland out the qualifiers and put us through to a playoff to the World Cup, which we went on and won.
And most memorable match?
For club or country?
Bit of both.
For country, it would be the Holland game. You know, we were right up against it. They had some team out that day. And it was winner takes all, basically, and we beat them 1-0. That was, you know, to play in that game was phenomenal. That atmosphere, that emotion. Although I ran away, 120,000 fans in the stadium, and we won to qualify for Japan. You know, that was something special. To be with Mick and the lads, that was amazing. For Liverpool, I said it before, to play in the cup final, to walk out Old Wembley was special. Result wasn't great, but just to do that was amazing. The Newcastle 4-3, that was pretty good. Both of them for different reasons, they were pretty special. So yeah, probably I'd go back and play in them again.
Steve?
Hey Jason, I had one last question. You had mentioned that you had, you broke your leg obviously, but then you had that foot drop. I had back surgery. I ruptured my disc, and one of the things that I had after the surgery was I had a foot drop in my right foot, and it was one of those that that you never knew if it was going to come back or not. You do your physical therapy,
yeah.
And I remember my neurosurgeon, he had told me after 6 weeks, said, "Hey, you're no more at risk to injure your back anymore. So go and do whatever you want." So I went. I remember going back and playing indoor, and running down the pitch, and my foot would just drag, and I would fall, and people would be looking at me like, "What's wrong with this guy?" People running by me that I knew I was faster than them, on a normal basis, but they're just going by me. But I was just so glad to be out back on the pitch. But it was always in the back of my mind, like, will I get that flex back in my ankle, right? And fortunately, I'm 100% healed now. But so what was going through your mind when you had that? Because I know even with physical therapy, it takes a while.
Yeah, well, drop foot is obviously a nerve, as you know, the peroneal nerve, and obviously, like, it goes from the knee into the ankle, and that's the one where the signal goes down, and the brain tells the foot to move, and obviously it misfires, and that's when you say, like, you're running, even though you there's levels of where you're at, you get back to running and misfires, and you can literally fall over because your foot just doesn't move. It's a very tough injury because psychologically, you think that that's always going to happen. But obviously you've got to train the nerve and the muscles around the nerve. And then obviously that it gets back to 100% and you're okay, but that takes its time. But, there was a time, I won't lie. And, obviously I'm not talking out of turn. I went to see, my lawyer. We had different conversations about, if my career was to end at this point because of this injury, where's that going to leave me? What am I going to do? What financial impact, career impact, and mental impact it's going to do? And we had sat down and had some pretty heavy conversations, and it was tough. It was very, very tough. So yeah, you've got to put things in place, but then you've got to hopefully think that you're going to come out the other side, and touch wood. And luckily for me, I come out the other side. But yeah, it was a tough time. It was a dark time. Yeah.
When the day that you actually hung your boots up, did you ever think you would be working for LFC TV later on?
Well, I'm believe it or not, I'm one of the oldies with Liverpool TV. When the club channel started, I was one of the very first people to work with them. I've worked all the way through from then till now, and I've loved every minute of it. I've seen people come and go. I've got some fantastic friendships, relationships, and obviously being in that capacity, you're with the club and seeing how it grows. And we've been through some tough times. The Roy Hodgson time, the late Brendan Rodgers' time. When the club was on the brink of, we didn't know which direction it was going to go. Some of the signings we were bringing in, it was just difficult. But it's where you learn about yourself. It's where you hang in there and you roll your sleeves up, and you've just got to believe. And we are where we are now through hard work and believing in each other, and that's where we're in a difficult time now. The lads haven't faced it before, and they've got to come out of it the other side, and everyone's got to hold the faith and believe that that's what we'll do, and I believe that's what we will. So yeah, working for the club in that capacity has been brilliant. I've seen great times, hard times, but it's also given me the platform then to go in to the club as an ambassador. Be around the first team, travel, and like you say, touch different areas that I never thought I would do. Give me opportunities to meet different people, from various walks of life, self-made billionaires I've met who have come on board with the club, to people who struggle with mental health, and you have to talk to them, and hopefully they can come through it, and you give a little bit back. So it's fulfilling in all different areas, and I'm just very, very privileged and honoured, to work for the club, to work alongside the likes of Billy Hogan, the owners, people at Liverpool TV, Peter McDowell, Claire, Alex, the producers, Kim, we've worked with for years, Nina, who's run the channel, Platty, and then you go into partnerships and deal with the likes of, Helen, who looks after us from a partnership commercial point of view, right through to all the lads and the girls who bring in the revenue commercially. So, and then venturing into the partnership side of things and meeting the CEOs of Standard Chartered and Joy Baby. You've got friends from Joy now, David. It's just, it's a fascinating industry that, I just love working in.
I guess near enough wrapping it up. One last question. This will probably knock you. If they ever made a film about your life, who would you have? Who would you want to play you?
Who would play me? Oh. You really threw me on my toes there. That is a tough one. That's not a 10-second think about answer. Do you know what? I fancy myself as a bit of an actor. I don't think I could do the part.
Here we go.
Any less justice than doing it myself. Go on. Who do you think?
No, that's a good one as well. I haven't thought too much. I just think it's a good question. Steve? Who did we ask? And they said Tom Hardy. Who was that?
I can't remember.
Oh man, they say they wanted him to play, and I was like, man, you ain't that good looking.
Is that question? Straight away you think in your head, you go, Brad Pitt, DiCaprio.
There you go.
And the only reason you say them is because they're the proper threats, aren't they? The good looking lads, they're cool. So you want obviously someone to play you like that. I'd go for probably a more quirky, like a Jake Gyllenhaal, or a bit. Who was the kid who played Spider-Man?
Maguire.
Yeah, Maguire, or maybe he's just gone Batman, and Patterson, like Robert Patterson, someone like that. I'd go one of them.
Not Jimmy Nail.
No. Jimmy Nail, is he still going?
Is he still alive? He's probably still singing somewhere in a pub.
Saying that, when you think about it, right, it's going to have to be a Scouse, because you can't just do a Scouse accent, can you? These actors who try and do, sometimes they get caught up, don't they? So let's go Scouse. Who would be? Here's one, and you might Kent Riley.
Not bad shout.
There you go. Yeah. Him, or if you want to go a little bit more Hollywood, then we're looking at Stephen Graham, aren't we?
That's what I was thinking, but you'd have to wear some stilts.
I was going to say he's only 5'2". Yeah, he's only 5'2", and we'd have to stick him in some stilts. Yeah. Do you know what? One of my dreams is to have my life, my story, because I think and I don't want it to be a the football good luck story. I don't want it to be kind of that. I want it to be a bit more behind the scenes, and what you actually deal with as a human being a footballer, and how then you've got to go out and perform in front of 50,000 people, 40,000, and you've had a lot of sorrow and adversity, a couple of days before, something might have happened in your personal life, but you've got to go and run out and play, to tell them kind of, them stories and them scenes. And also, how tough it was to make it into football. I'd like it to be played, to be played out like that. Not just, signed for Liverpool by playing the cup final. Well, it was great. And, that's, we see them, don't we, them stories. It's a bit more hard hitting than behind the scenes. So a bit of a drama. I would love that to be made. So if you know of any drama, like screenwriters who want to do it, throw them my way.
Well, we actually have a mate that lives in Liverpool, who's a writer, Mike Nevin. that wrote a fantastic piece on marine. So I'll tell him to get with you, and you can start writing
Pass on me details, and we can start writing a treatment or a screenplay or something. And
well, maybe Ian Salmon can reach out and put him in one of his plays.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, my guess is Christian Bale. I'm going to say Christian Bale to play you in a movie.
Oh, that's nice. I thought you were going to say to play you in your movie. I was going to go, no chance. No chance. No. Gareth Bale, never mind Christian Bale.
He's a better golfer than me. But I think I'll still put my money on Ronnie Whelan in the golf game.
I can beat Ronnie.
Oh, yeah?
His missus is better. Ronnie's missus Elaine's better than Ronnie now. She plays more than him.
Yeah. She not.
You want to partner with her. You don't want to partner with Ronnie.
Yeah, she stayed at the hotel when we went out and played at the golf course, so I didn't get to see her play. But he loves that golf game, yeah.
Yeah, we all do. Got nothing else to do now. In fact, we can't even play golf now over here. It's all locked down. So
yeah, he's still got what, like 3 weeks, a month to go? Lockdown?
Mate, they're talking about extending it. I mean, I'm homeschooling at the minute, and mate, it's doing me head in. Like, and they're talking about keeping the schools shut until May. So yeah, we're looking at the 16th of February, but I don't think anyone's holding their breath. It's gonna happen. I think it's gonna go longer. So fingers crossed they can just get this vaccine out as quick as they can.
Yeah, everybody's just got to follow the rules, and hopefully
absolutely, yeah,
the vaccine gets out, and then we can get back to some normality. I'm the same. I'm homeschooling 4 of them.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Talk about mental health.
Hang in there, mate. Hang in there.
Daddy's gone cuckoo. Jason, really appreciate you taking the time and coming on and speaking with us today.
No, absolutely, yeah. I do enjoy doing these pieces. It's a bit of welcome relief from, as you say, homeschooling, but yeah, it's good for the mind, yeah. So thanks for having me on. Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome, mate. Anytime. And hopefully, when everybody can, fly across the world, you can come over here and have a session.
A grand session.
I'd love to have that session.
Yeah. So would we.
Mate, the deal is I've got to be the first one after the world gets back to normal. That comes with it, because that is going to be some session.
You're on.
I want to do the first one.
Steve, you get on with that then.
Yeah, I already have it written down, man. You're on.
Me, Jamie Webster, and John Aldridge. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, because before we got closed down, the week before we travel got shut down, the Anfield Rap was supposed to be here in town. We were going to have a big session with them, and and then that got canceled. So we'll get you first, and then bring them after.
Why not? Let's do it big if we're going to do it. That's brilliant. I'm going to go for my lunch. Right, take it easy, lads. Great to see you. Take care.
Yeah.
You too. Cheers, Jason.
Thank you.
Thanks, boys. Take care.